and welcome to today's video. I am so excited to be here. I am so excited to be filming. I am really excited to be on a roll with my commitment to my content creation this year. I'm just having a lot of fun with this as like an artistic outlet for me, and like I'm viewing it as my passion project for the year, specifically my YouTube channel. So I hope you're ready to be along for the ride. As you can tell by the title of today's video, we are talking about my 2023 reading stats as well as my 2024 reading goals, and I'm going to throw in a couple personal goals and how I sort of looked at goal setting for this year. In the past, my main way of tracking my reading, I'm gonna pivot and just talk about reading for a second. I kept a note on my phone. I feel like it was 2022, I started actually tracking the format that I used to read, be it physical, audio, or ebook, and if it was an ARC. And that's been working fine, but I don't know what kind of came over me at the end of the year where I really wanted to look at some of the stats. That I wanted to see how many books I read, being the main one, what books stood out to me, what publishers I was reading. It's very bare bones. I have a lot of friends on TikTok who have these incredible spreadsheets with so much information so they can really look at everything. And I've definitely upped my spreadsheet game for 2024, but it's still not as comprehensive as a lot of my friends are. Without spending too much time in the intro portion of this, let's get right into it. Let's look at my 2023 reading stats. How many books did I read in 2023? I read somewhere around 117. I didn't realize that there were a couple books that I hadn't written down until I actually filmed my reactions to my 2023 reads. And I started to realize there are, because I do a lot of my tracking on my Instagram stories as well, there were a lot of photos of book covers that I had that I knew I had finished and I hadn't written in my note. I would say the number is somewhere between 114 and 117. Does that make my stats a little, not 100%? Yes, but that's okay. I was happy to go for a general idea. So I read somewhere around 117 books and I DNF'd somewhere around 13 books. I think July was the month where I DNF'd the most because I was really in the mood to read mermaid books and Little Mermaid retellings, and I would start ones and then a page or two in, I knew it wasn't gonna be for me and I would DNF it. I'm really hoping to track my DNFs more this year. I was better at it in 2023 than I was in 2022. Sometimes I just get into these phases where I'm either on one of my apps on my phone or I pick up a bunch of physical books and I start them, and within the first 5 pages, I know I'm not gonna read it, so then I pick up something else and then that ends up being a DNF. So I wanna get better at tracking it. So of the ones that I did write down, I know I wrote down 13 of them, which I feel like that's pretty good. I would like to see myself potentially DNF more this year, only because looking back on my reading from 2023, I had a lot of books that I felt were very mediocre, and just kind of average books. And I'm really looking to up my like substance game this year. And by that, I mean, I want to read books that I can't stop thinking about, that are just wows to me. I'm perfectly happy to read a handful of average books, but I felt like overwhelmingly last year, everything was just kind of okay, and I would like to be a little bit more jazzed about what I'm reading. Then out of all the books that I did read, I had 10 standout like 5-star reads. I'm just gonna kind of put them here. These were the ones that really stood out and I still think about. I absolutely would either reread in a heartbeat. It's usually for like the fiction books. I don't really think I would go back and read a nonfiction or a memoir, which I only have one of in this roundup, but they're also books that are just going to, I know they're going to stay with me, and they have upped my level of consumption, or I guess my taste level. And then I realized that there were books that I had read that I hadn't given 5 stars to, and I think it's because they just so surpass a rating system, at least in my mind, or the rating system that I have. So these are my God tier books. These are books that have embedded themselves within me. I want to think about them constantly and analyze them and reread them, and just they have really shaped how I move forward after reading those books. And now we've gotten to the point where I have to hold my presentation in front of me because I don't want to get this information wrong. I wanted to look at the genres. What genres did I read? I had a feeling it would overwhelmingly be fantasy, but I know I branched out and read a couple other genres this year. So let's get into it, shall we? So fantasy was my overwhelmingly most read genre. I read 55 fantasy books, and in that category, I have cozy fantasy, romantasy, fantasy romance, YA fantasy, sci-fi fantasy, fantasy horror, and mythology. Unsure if I should be categorizing mythology in the fantasy category, but I only read one mythology book this year, so I figured I would put it in that umbrella. Basically, anything from any age range, from any sub-genre that had a fantasy element to it is in this category. Then we have romance, which I absolutely knew would be the second one. And under here we have contemporary and historical. They're really the only two subgenres outside of fantasy romance that I read in romance. And I read 39 books, which I was actually pretty impressed by. Then we're starting to get to the smaller numbers. So I read 7 contemporary, and that was anything from like contemporary thrillers to books that maybe had a romance in them, but romance wasn't the end goal of the plot. It was just a book set in contemporary times. And then a genre that was absolutely new to me, which is manga. I don't know, I feel like because of the way the bookstore is laid out, I want to categorize manga as a genre. I think it is. If it's not, could somebody let me know? I'm really hoping to up this number this year. I really want to get more into manga, and I'm excited to see my growth in this genre in particular in 2024. And then we have all the ones left. So dark academia, horror, sci-fi, and nonfiction. I read 2 in all those categories, and I read 1 dystopian. I earnestly tried to be really intentional about writing down what format I read books in. I know these numbers are a little skewed, especially the physical books number, but I did my best. I read 79 audiobooks, 43 physical books, and some of those do overlap. I like tandem read basically. I would start it in physical, switch to audio, blah, 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 blah. 25 ebooks, 7 arcs, and 9 graphic novels. And the graphic novels could be either physical or ebook. I just wanted to categorize that somehow. This is the category I was the most interested in, and it's one I'm really hoping to hone in on tracking this year. I think January is where I'm gonna figure out how to track this. I might have to be okay with it being not totally correct because I listen to my audiobooks faster than 1.0 speed, so taking the actual length of the audiobook that's given isn't quite correct. And there are a lot of books that I read via my eyeballs and my ears, and I switch back and forth. So I don't physically read the entire book and I don't wholly listen to the entire book, and I'm not quite sure how to track that. So knowing that, page count, how many pages I read was 23,108. And audiobook hours, I listened to 915 hours and 45 minutes of audiobooks, which feels really impressive. I also went ahead and was like, how many days is that? And it's 38 days and some change, which is like a little over a month's worth of audiobook listening. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty happy with that. I looked at it and I think it gave me sort of a jump scare a little bit. But then I thought about it and I listen to audiobooks all the time. I feel like I listen to audiobooks in lieu of listening to music or podcasts a lot of the times now. It's what I listen to when I walk to work, when I'm doing my dishes, my laundry, cleaning, doing my makeup. I just have them on constantly. Anytime where I don't need to be directly focused on something, I probably have an audiobook on. So I love a series. I really love getting into, especially when I love an author, right? I really enjoy the experience of reading a series. I feel like recently I'm not always great at finishing the series, or they kind of carry over into multiple years, even if it's a short series. So I was really surprised to see that I read 23 books that were part of a series, and this does not include first books in the series. It only includes sequels and later books. I wanted to see all the publishers that I read this year, and I read 56 from 56 publishers, which feels wild. And the last thing I wanted to look at was what years was I reading things that were published? What publishing years was I reading? Does that make sense? I wasn't surprised that majority of the books were from the 2010s to now. I will say I was surprised by how many 2023 reads I read. I didn't think I read a lot that was published in 2023, and I did, which was really exciting. Did have one 2024 read, which was fun. I only had one from the pre-2000s, so I'm definitely interested in exploring that more this year. I think there's a lot more historical romances in not only the actual content being historical, but the books actually living within our history farther than the 90s. I just found this to be a kind of interesting data point to look at. And now I think I'm ready to put all my 2023 stuff behind me. It's taken me a week to kind of get on top of the recap content because I wasn't doing it at the end of December, and now we can fully look forward to the year to come. So I figured what better way to sort of combine things as to do like a look back, look forward. So now we're gonna look at all the things I'm really looking forward to in 2024 or goals I have set for myself. I started my goal setting because I do want to talk about this a little bit because I really got out of the habit of goal setting for the last few years. I think the pandemic really kind of rewired my brain in a way where I had no idea what the future held, and it really scared me to look forward in that way. And I think I'm finally ready to start doing that again. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's not for everybody. And I did it in phases over a couple weeks as I sort of figured out, how do I want to approach goal setting and looking at this next year, because there are multiple facets to my life. I have things in my personal life like career goals, finance goals, life in general goals. Then I have all my bookish goals. I have social media goals. I have goals for my podcast, and it felt intimidating to sort of look at all of that at once. So it was nice to do it in bite-sized chunks. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking about all of that in this video. I'm really going to be focusing on bookish goals, and I'll throw in a couple personal ones at the end. Started with my ins, outs, and under reviews list. I know a lot of people have been doing ins and outs. I got this idea from a friend of mine who got it from a friend of hers, and specifically the category that I really liked looking at was the under review category. I also was able to sort of take this list and then break it down into a monthly ins, outs, and under reviews, which I think I'm looking forward to doing each month, and sort of not only thinking about the year as a whole, but looking at each month, what I have coming up, what I would like to accomplish, and those sorts of things. And then because this list was some intentional things, but also some more just generic vibe things, I was really able to take what I had sort of pinpointed in my ins, outs, and under reviews and made my goals. So let's look at my bookish goals. I'm just gonna talk at you because I have it all written in my lovely little notebook. That is one of my goals this year, is to use up all my unused notebooks, because what am I saving them for? What am I saving them for? Oh, we have read the arcs that I get sent. I am very, very lucky, and I feel very fortunate to have built relationships with publishers and authors that they want to send me arcs and advanced listener copies of books, either many, many months before it comes out or in the month it comes out. I did read a good amount of arcs last year, and I've dedicated a whole portion of my bookshelf in my bedroom to those books so that they're within my eye line and I can put them in my monthly TBRs. That is, if I get sent physical ones, I have that option. But I think I just want to be more mindful overall. That's sort of the overarching theme of this year, but in particular in this category. My second goal is to read books that I'm excited about. I'm putting it in quotes, pretty immediately. If there's a book that I am really jazzed to read and I know I'm going to enjoy it, or I think I'm really going to enjoy it, it's one that I've kind of had my eye on for a while, I want to bump it up and prioritize it. I am notorious for putting off reading books I think I'm going to love, or talking about a book and talking about potentially reading a book, having people get me really excited about it if I share it, and then putting it off. This kind of ties into me wanting to read books that I actually enjoy more this year. I want to prioritize those reads. I would say my biggest goal that I have for myself, and one I am really going to be potentially the most intentional about, is reading all the physical books that are in my apartment as of, I think I counted on like January 5th or something. But my entire TBR shelf is this whole top row of books on this bookshelf. So everything that is on these two shelves I haven't read yet, and it's several books deep. It is not just the ones that are at the front. It is a lot. It's a lot of books. And then I have a handful of books that are in my bedroom. Like I said, my ARCs are in there, and then I just have a couple more sort of tucked away. And when I counted them, it was I did sort of have one of those moments where like I've been sent an ARC and a physical copy, so I maybe counted things twice. So the number is somewhere between 116 and 117 books, like give or take, plus or minus one or two. I didn't include, I don't know if I have the camera set up, but above at the top of this shelf are all my research books. And there are about 5 or 6 books in that selection that I potentially want to read, or at least start reading and annotating for research purposes. So I have somewhere around 120 unread books in my apartment right now, and I would really like to get that number at least cut in half. I, in my heart of hearts, would like to get all of them read this year. Do I think that's feasible? Probably not, considering that's the amount of books I read this year alone, and that's not accounting for the debuts that are coming out this year, not debuts, but books that are coming out this year, audiobooks that I want to listen to, and all of that. So I'm giving myself grace with it, but I would like to see these shelves shrink a lot. In the past, I have not set a Goodreads goal. I have a Goodreads account. I barely use it. I sometimes say I'm going to write reviews. And this year I am being intentional about using the apps that can not only help me track my reading, but also getting reviews out on as many platforms as possible can only help those books, especially the ones I love. So I did set a Goodreads goal this year of 50 books, which feels really feasible. Again, like I said, I'm trying to read for substance. So if that means that I only read 50 books this year, that's okay. I've over the last few years read over 100 books every year, and while I'm very happy with that and that makes me excited because it's something I really love to do, like I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. One of my other goals this year is to see movies more, and so the time spent in a movie theater or on my couch watching a movie is also time that I would have given to reading a book. So I'm willing to give a little push and pull for the media that I hope to consume in the next year. I am also using Storygraph. I really enjoy Storygraph. I have used it since it came online, and I'm trying to be as intentional as possible about using these apps. I made them apps on my phone. Historically would only use them on the desktop, which is the reason why I wouldn't update them. Follow me on both of those. I will put the links down in the description box if you want to follow my reviews on Storygraph and Goodreads, or either. Those links will be down there. I would also like to see myself read more nonfiction this year. There are a lot of memoirs I'm really hoping to get to. There's a lot of books that I have collected over the last year and a half in regards to my like academic research that I do, and I would like to actually read them so that I could potentially use those for analyses or as part of framework for something. So I won't know what those things look like until I read those books. This is a goal. I'm not sure how feasible it is, but I want to read 2 5-star books a month, or 2 books that are around the 5-star realm, be it like 5-star or God tier. I have given myself a new rating system this year, which I'm pretty excited about because I don't know why I really struggle with star ratings, and I stopped really giving star ratings as a whole. I do it kind of on and off. I am not precise with it, but I was more interested in the graphic that people do, being able to fill this throughout the year and then do my recap video at the end of the year using this. So the ratings that I have are masterpiece, most meaningful, would read again, excellent, good, average, decent, and absolutely not. And I think for me, this is just gonna be a better system for seeing where books kind of fit into my personal opinion. And then my last goal is one that it transcends goal categories. So it's something that I'm looking at in a lot of my life, but in particular, I am looking at it in the book category, and that is being mindful of spending. I wouldn't say I'm on a no buy. I'm just not spending unnecessary money. I clearly already own plenty of books I'm excited to read, and I'm not feeling like I need to bring anything else in. I found over the last year that I was spending less on physical copies of every book that I was excited about and buying physical special editions of books that I adore. And I think I'm just in a place where I'm changing how I interact as a consumer. I'm much more aware of what I'm bringing into my home and what is going to stay with me in the long term. I'm trying to be more mindful of when, how, where I spend my money. I've had this idea for this video in my head for ages, and it feels so nice to be almost done with it and to like get it out of my brain space so I can move on to something else. Before I close out this video, I'll just share a couple personal goals and ins and outs and things that I'm really looking forward to sort of honing in on in the year to come. The first thing is I really want to host more dinner parties. I love hosting. I love having people over my apartment. I've been on the like dinner party side of TikTok, like hosting dinner parties and stuff. And I love that dinner parties can be as large, as small, as casual, as formal as you really want them to be. And so I am really hoping to do it more than just like once a year. I haven't figured out how I'm going to manifest this, but it is something I desperately want to do. I would really love to moderate or be on a panel. This could be in my academic life, this could be in book, social media life. Any and all options would be I'm open to. I would love to interview authors more and do some things that are more in person. A lot of what I have done has been online, sort of what feels like quick and fleeting moments, and it's something I would really love to do. I love doing it on my podcast, and I would like to bring it more into my physical life and less of my online life. One of my things that's under review is my Nuuly rental. I've been renting from Nuuly since May, June of 2023, and while I really like it, I don't know if I can continue it at least right now, or if it is really serving me in the way I want it to. Like this month, for instance, this is a rental, this top, which is very cute from Selkie. Out of the 6 items that I rented, I think I'm excited about 3 of them. Like 2 of them don't fit at all. One of them is just kind of okay. I'm really trying to figure out if it is actually adding to my life or if it's just money I'm wasting. And something that I realized was kind of in multiple facets, just written in different ways, is like saving or putting things off. So like I am lighting candles all the time. I am opening bottles of Prosecco that I've just like had and drink on a random Tuesday because I want to. I'm not saving books that I'm excited about. All those things. I really want to just be excited all the time and live in the moment instead of just putting things off and saving them for an occasion that may never come. Then my goal for this YouTube channel, I would like to upload 2 videos a month, at least starting in January. That is my goal, which once this video goes up, I will have hit that goal, which is really exciting. It opens me up to either being okay with shelving my YouTube channel until next month, or figuring out what content I want to bring to this platform in a long form way, which I'm really excited about. It feels like a tangible goal. And I think on that note, I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please head on down to the comment section and tell me, is there anything from 2023 that you wanna share, either reading stats wise or like life wise, that you're happy is over or you wanna recap? What are your 2024 goals? It could be anything. It could be from your life. It could be from your bookish goals, anything. I want to know about it. I want to talk about it. So I hope to see you in the comment section. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and to hit that subscribe button. I think the notification bell is still a thing. It has been so long since I've really been plugged into YouTube, and I'm slowly but surely finding my way back to this platform in those ways. But any way that you feel like supporting this channel would mean so much to me. You can also find me on other social platforms. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest at Deirdre Rose Morgan, and I have a podcast called Books on the Brain, which I run with a friend of mine, Danielle, who is at DJ Books on TikTok. And I'm very excited to announce that we are coming back with season 4 very soon. I think it'll either be coming out, the first episode of season 4 will either be coming out right after this video or within a week or 2 of this video going up. Come check us out if you are interested. It was so much fun talking to you, and I hope to chat to you in the next one. Bye!